Tomorrow, we get back underway in the women's NCAA tournament with Sweet 16 action, a quadruple header on a Friday, starting around 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's update you on where those odds stand right now and what they look like in comparison to what we saw before the NCAA tournament got underway. South Carolina, the favorites, at a 2-1 number before the big dance. Still the favorites, or not actually so, at plus 170. I'll tell you why in just a matter of moments. Yukon is now the favorite at plus 150. Of course, that correlates to the price you see on USC, 50-1 on Southern Cal. Of course, something that will sadly overshadow the remainder of the women's big dance is the torn ACL, the significant knee injury to an absolute superstar in Juju Watkins, injured in the round of 32 game early on for the Trojans. Of course, she is out for the remainder of the NCAA tournament and this season for USC. Truly one of the best that you will see at this level. That is going to be a big bummer, not just for USC, but in terms of star power for the NCAA tournament. And USC is the 1 seed in that portion of the bracket, Region 4 in Spokane. But UConn has always had the shortest price, despite being on the 2 line to win this region that has only been more solidified in the absence of Juju Watkins and how great Connecticut has looked so far in their opening 2 games. We did tell you about the over against South Dakota State. That came through in flying colors. But now Paige Beckers, AZ Fudd, and the rest for Gino Auriemma, a hefty favorite at minus 400 to win this region. Region 4 in Spokane, and of course advance to a Final Four. That is part of the reason that the Huskies have moved in front by 20 cents of Dawn Staley and the Gamecocks. UCLA still in a good spot, still the favorites to win Region 1 in Spokane at a minus 155 price, but their number has moved back to win a national championship because of how short the numbers are looking for UConn and South Carolina on the other side of the bracket. Texas back by $1.50. Of course, the substantial movement on USC. Also for UCLA to contend with in their portion of the women's NCAA tournament bracket, a very dangerous LSU team that is looking prime right now, taking on NC State in this Sweet 16 matchup. A really good game expected on Friday evening. LSU is actually a favorite, laying 3.5 points against NC State. That total, 153.5. Of course, Kim Mulkey has that championship pedigree. We'll see how that continues for the Bayou Bengals. UCLA gets Ole Miss. They're an 8.5 point favorite. South Carolina, 17.5 point favorite against Maryland. A Terrapins team that was down by as many as 17 points late in the third quarter in their round of 32 game against Alabama, forcing their way back. The other one, a rivalry to start us off in the Sweet 16, that is Duke in North Carolina. Kara Lawson and her Blue Devils, a 5.5 point favorite. Duke in Region 2 in Birmingham. That is South Carolina's portion of the bracket. UConn again the favorite in Region 4 Spokane. Texas an ever so slight favorite at minus 105 in Region 3 in Birmingham. But names to know: Notre Dame and TCU still alive in that portion of the bracket. TCU a 6.5 point dog against the Fighting Irish. Texas 7.5 point favorite against Tennessee. Those games on Saturday. A lot to like as the NCAA tournament has returned. Join us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The early line returns tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern on a Friday here on SportsGrid.